Okay, good Wednesday morning, everybody. Nice work yesterday with turning in your reading reflection based on the NPR article. We're going to continue talking about targeted audience today, but I did want to show you some student samples. So I went through your responses yesterday and I provided some comments for some people. I haven't finished everybody's, but I did pull some examples from every single class. So if you take this link right here and you click on it and it says student sample example responses, you should see 6 different responses, or 8 actually, because I pulled 2 from each of my 4 classes. So these 2 students are from first period, the pink are second, then 5th period are green, and 8th period are in black. And so I want you to understand what we're talking about when we talk about targeted audience. What I noticed in your responses were we were so fixated on author's message and trying to summarize the NPR piece that we kind of lost a little bit of the audience, okay? So these students, they obviously did a great job. Everybody did what I asked, but I wanted us to focus on these specified chunks where they really talked about different elements of targeted audience and how we knew that in the piece. So, for example, this first student says, the way Moetti describes us and we makes it clear to me that she is aiming her article towards communities all over the world and even her own. She uses these pronouns to address the world as one large community in need of helping in this time. Furthermore, by talking about explaining current events around the world to her children, she is also addressing the present day society about how we are able to help, thus solidifying her intended audience. Look at the use of collectivism there. And this student uses collective pronouns, right, that the author uses in order to emphasize this idea of us and we. And yes, it's about, this current pandemic. And she does, give evidence of her persona and the fact that she is a mother. But the examples that she also gives, when we say that this is a general society, note that this person is still able to discuss the generalities of it, like the universality of the message and the audience, but gives us clear and concise evidence, right? It doesn't have to be these long, drawn-out quotes. So I thought that was a really good example. Notice how this person says, because of her universal yet individually different experience with handling these situations, she has formatted this article to bring to light into the truth of the pandemic in South Africa, etc. Right? This person ties back to a specific targeted audience and uses her choice of evidence to support the ideas within the commentary. So look at the feedback I'm giving, right? Look especially at these highlighted portions, because that specifically is something you should look at when you're describing how to explain your thinking. We talked about this yesterday in our Zoom meetings. We know this. We know that different audiences require different types of delivery in terms of our message, but pinpointing exactly what those details are is how you analyze targeted audience. So I felt it better to give you actual student examples today with my commentary, my feedback, versus just me writing it on my own, okay? So hopefully that helps. And again, look at my commentary on the sides, because that's the feedback I'll be giving you from yesterday's response and then today's. So we're going to go back into the article today. And if you're not able to get this on NPR, send me an email, and I have it in a PDF form and I can email it to you. I know that happened to a couple of people. That way you don't have to read it on your phone if you prefer not to. So for today, yesterday we kind of talked about her targeted audience, right? And today we're going to look for evidence that Moetti speaks to the concerns of her audience without inviting further controversy. And this is where we really get into rhetoric, right? So notice the title in of itself, right, talks about not to fear, okay? Using the word fear in of itself, right, that is something that addresses an immediate concern. Think about it, okay? And then how does she, progress through the article and not inciting further controversy, but using this collective idea of bringing people together, but still addressing concerns. So that's kind of a double whammy in terms of your evidence. Not only are you proving that she's fostering, this idea of community, but how is she still addressing concerns, right? We can't have one without the other in terms of our evidence. So I'm asking you to find poignant and specific evidence here. And I only need one piece of evidence. I don't need two. But your question is, what is one way Moetti speaks to the concerns of her audience without inviting further controversy about the pandemic? Support and discuss your response. So today, yesterday, some people just kind of answered it and gave me some bullet pointed evidence. I think I mentioned that in a few classes that would be acceptable. But the sample responses I gave you, you can consider those in the A range. So think about how you're going to frame your response today. And note those were substantial paragraphs. Those were not full pages. I'm not asking for you to, develop an entire essay, but I mean, I think a substantial paragraph would provide specific commentary that is thorough. Okay, so we could talk about it a little bit more today during our Zoom meetings, or you can send me a text or an email, and I'd be happy to talk through that with you. Okay, expect for tomorrow to go into your summer reading book. And then Friday, we will start discussing our persona projects. If you have not completed yesterday's form right here, I am starting to put our conference schedules together for the foreseeable future. So I really need that to be done. Otherwise, I'm going to be assigning you days that may or may not work with your schedule. Not to mention, I'm really appreciative of the feedback you guys have been giving me, which is why I wanted to give you the resource of student samples today, because I know a lot of you really felt better when you kind of had a guide or a framework. And as much as I am able to give that to you, I will. It's not always going to be feasible, but as much as I can, I will. Okay, I hope that you are ready to go. I know today's weather doesn't make it any easier for us to feel motivated, but today's a pretty fairly simple day. I mean, you have a very specific task, and it shouldn't take you all day, obviously, but I'm always here for you, and we'll see you on Zoom later today, or I will see you tomorrow. Have a great one. Make good choices.